I've been a filmmaker for over 15 years and I have worked on countless productions. Now, when you're on set, it is very easy to deal with your tasks and the obligations that are in front of you. What you're dealing with in many cases is in the moment issues. So you're dealing with the schedule as you have it, you're dealing with the scenes you're shooting, you're dealing with the setups that you have, and you're trying to get that all within a 12-hour day. All of that has been laid out ahead of time in pre-production. And it's pre-production that I kind of want to start today, but also pre-production and development as an entrepreneur and as an independent filmmaker. Because it is very easy in pre-production and in development to become overwhelmed with the number of things that you just have to do in order to get a project off the ground, or in order, especially as a film producer with a production company, to deal with 2 or 3 or 4 different projects at various stages of development in your slate. Today what I want to do is I want to talk about balancing a full plate without anxiety or overwhelm. This is a challenge for an independent filmmaker because you are pulled in so many different directions. And oftentimes you are being pulled by different people too. So what someone else needs right away from you, oftentimes could supersede what the plan that you had for that day. I want to try to help you create a manageable and structured approach. Here are some strategies that are specifically tailored towards being an entrepreneur and a filmmaker. So number 1, prioritize with the one thing mindset. Ask yourself, what's the one thing that I can do today that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? And tackle that task first. Often this is a bottleneck task, like sending a critical email or completing a particular item like a budget or a schedule or a pitch deck for that matter, or a funding application. These are sort of those big tasks that once completed can essentially create a domino effect for many other tasks. Secondly, use the brain dump method. Write everything you're juggling onto a piece of paper or a digital notebook or something along those lines, and then organize these tasks into must do today, must do this week, or this can wait. This will help clear mental clutter and will help bring clarity to the day as well. 3, time block your day. Assign dedicated blocks of time to specific tasks. For example, from 9 to 10 in the morning, I'm going to work on the pitch deck for my next project. From 10:30 to 12, I'm going to work on a budget for another project. And from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I'm going to work on a funding application. These are just examples, but if you have multiple projects going at a given point and you do need to give some level of equal time to each one, it's really important to time block these in. Keep these blocks short to maintain focus and avoid burnout, and always give yourself an opportunity to take a short break in between. This is much better than having to constantly switch between different tasks and different projects. This term is called context switch because what it means is that you're taking a thought in your brain and having to shove it aside and then get warmed up into another thought. The warm-up time can actually wind up costing you more time than had you just ignored another activity until it was specifically that time to deal with it. Number 4, use the 80-20 rule. Focus on the tasks that have the biggest impact on your goals. Try to prioritize some of those tasks that if you make progress in them, then long term they're going to make your life a lot easier. They're going to move your business along much, much, much further. When you think of the projects or the tasks or the assignments you have in front of you, what takes 20% of my time but will yield 80% of the results? Or what tasks are going to give me 80% of what I'm hoping for out of this particular project or out of this particular year? And make that your priority. Let go of and delegate some of these less critical items. The little tasks that seem to be easy enough to complete can add up, and they can wind up taking more and more and more of your time. If you're spending a lot of time on these sort of 20% tasks that you could be spending on 80% tasks, you are disproportionately spending more time on less important tasks than you would be on the tasks that really have a chance to have a meaningful impact on your production company, and on your overall career. Break goals into smaller actions. For example, instead of saying, I'm going to get some sponsors for my movie, you would write, research 3 companies that align with the project. The second one would be draft 1 sponsor email, and the third one would be send it today. These are very easy and manageable tasks, but what they do is they take that get sponsors in unspecific task and break it down into something meaningful. And you can take this with something that is maybe a bit more specific. For example, develop a plan to shoot the film. is really about creating a schedule. Well, if you're creating a schedule, what you need to do is you need to take the script and you need to break it down. And when you break it down, you need to follow specific steps. So when you're breaking down a script, you're taking the number of scenes, you're taking the page count, and you're figuring out, you're creating a breakdown of every single scene, what's required in the scene, and then that's one task. So whenever I'm breaking down a script as an assistant director or as a line producer, what I'm doing is I am going through the script several times, but just to cover different things. So the first time I'm going through is figuring out the scene slugs and the page counts and making sure that I have that in there. And then the next time I pass through is I'm identifying all the cast members that are in there. And then I'm plugging them into the scheduling program and creating a template schedule out of it. And I will even break it down to say the task for the next hour is to sort all my scenes by where they occur in the story. So sort the scenes by sets. And that becomes a task, and that's a very easy, manageable task. So rather than thinking of having to go through a whole entire process of budgeting, scheduling, hiring, all the things you have to do to put together a film project, you break it down into really tiny, small, manageable tasks. Number 6, schedule non-negotiable focus time. So pick 2 to 3 hours of uninterrupted time each day to work on these high priority tasks. These are these high priority tasks that you've identified as being super important, but that require absolute deep focus. And during this time, you turn off notifications and you let others know you're unavailable during this time. This is really important in film production because, again, as soon as people are being hired, and especially if you're a key head of position or if you're a producer or you're an assistant director, everybody wants your time. So you have to carve out these 2 to 3 hours of the day just to say, I'm going to focus on my one main task of the day during this time, and I want no interruptions at all. Number 7, celebrate progress. Every day you should end it by acknowledging what you accomplished, no matter how small. It reinforces momentum and reduces anxiety. And this is sometimes, again, an easy thing to let go. You get to the end of the day and all you can think of is what you have to accomplish the next day. So by creating a bubble around your day of identifying in the morning what the tasks are that you need to complete, and then at the end of the day celebrating the progress that you've made towards those tasks or towards that project, you give yourself permission to feel good about the progress that you've made. You're reinforcing that momentum, and you're giving yourself something to look forward to the next day, or at least reducing the anxiety associated with what you have to do the next day. Number 8, use simple tools to track everything. You can pick your tool. Some people like to use more sophisticated software apps like Notion or Trello, but something as simple as a pen and a calendar or a pen and a day planner, these are the things that can help keep you on track and keep you feeling like you're checking things off boxes. When you're overwhelmed, it's important to create a dashboard for today's tasks only, so that all that's in front of you are today's tasks, so that you avoid looking at the entire workload as a whole. Number 9, schedule rest. Overworking will lead to burnout. Movie productions are hard. We work hours. It's super important that you get your rest, that you get some time to do some exercise, that you drink water, that you schedule breaks, that you go for a walk, that you take time to recharge your creative energy. This is the only way to prevent burnout. Otherwise, you get into production, and that's where nerves get frayed, as people just get burned out. Rest fuels productivity, not laziness. And number 10, set boundaries. If anxiety creeps in, ask yourself, is this task truly urgent, or can it wait? Even if someone else thinks it's urgent, is it really urgent? Look at the project as a whole and think, okay, yes, someone wants this information yesterday or imminently, but you have to set your own boundaries as to when you can deliver, and make sure that you time it so that you're delivering it in a way that it doesn't hurt the project by you not having that task completed, but that you're delivering it in a logical time frame. I know my boundary is that it takes me roughly about 2 weeks, 1.5 to 2 weeks to do a budget. So I set that boundary, and I tell people, look, if you want to schedule in a budget and I start today and I'm working on this full time, it's going to take me roughly 2 weeks to complete. So if we start on a Monday, expect it by Friday the following week. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be going back and getting feedback on different drafts along the way. Like, for example, whenever I start work on a schedule, I usually have a preliminary schedule done in that first week. By about Thursday, I'll usually talk to the director on Wednesday just to say, here's some thoughts I have and questions that will help me create that preliminary on Thursday. Then I'll get to work on the budget while people are reviewing the schedule. And then while they're looking at the schedule and providing input on that, I can then take that and kind of massage that into the budget. So that's if I'm doing both. If I'm just doing scheduling, if I'm just doing the assistant directing job, then I know where my parameters are gonna lie. And I'm trying to have that schedule completed, you know, by the end of the week. But I know that within my capacity and to do a good job, I need at least 4 days complete in order to get a preliminary schedule out the door from Monday morning till Thursday night. And then I try to have something for Friday so that everybody has the weekend to take a look at it. Then it becomes their problem. Give yourself permission to focus on what matters the most today. So a lot of the productivity talk that I'm saying right now really centers around to you controlling your environment. If you're reacting to everything, it will create anxiety, and I am very guilty of this in that I am working currently on 3 different projects, film projects, plus the podcast and the newsletter and so on. So I have several different items on the agenda. Okay, would you like help to breaking down a current big goal of yours into smaller actionable plans? Let me know in the comments below. You can also like and subscribe to be notified when I have a new video up. My next one will be tomorrow. I am on day 21 now of my 30 days of 30 videos. So I still have 9 more videos left after today for this first 30 days. Otherwise, I have my newsletter for independent filmmakers that comes out every Friday. And there are also some behind the scenes groups you can get on for Quiet Canadians and for our general production news as well. So lots of ways to go deeper into this. Have a great night.